So, Assalamu alaikum everyone. As we discussed, we will be mainly touching some of the previous sessions. We'll be going to review our last session briefly. And in our last session, as we mentioned, we were watching enneagram, the spiritual warfare, self-development, self-healing. God's will be done, moral healing, so some lectures by Lale Bakhtiar, Dr. Lale Bakhtiar, as you know, she was one of the clinical psychologists. She had the PhD on clinical psychology and she practiced as a clinical psychologist. And later she wrote more than 25 plus books on spirituality. And one of her pioneering works were this reviving Sufi enneagram. So we discussed the history of enneagram, and an enneagram is one of the tools to develop the traditional psychology to build our um, spiritual capability. So what we have discussed in our last session is this one, as I started with this session. This is our self, the nafs. As you see, when God gave us the ruh in our body, we started becoming conscious of God, conscious of us, conscious of ourself. And so we have been given conscience, a discerning power to our, so that we can understand what is good, what is bad, and then we have been given free will. So we human beings are the highest form of nature in its mode of operation, which is basically God's will. We do not operate on our own, we operate through Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. That is the main functional mode of operation. We operate, whole universe operate that way. So why we are the highest form? Because we have consciousness. And that is a blessing God has given us. Consciousness was given to us when God blew his spirit within us, bestowing free will and a conscience, the power to discern what is good, what is bad. And then with our consciousness, we accepted the covenant with God and the trust of nature. So that covenant of God happened before we come to this world. It happened when we are in alama, and we mentioned in our previous discussions that the 5 presences of divine presence. Those we are human beings simultaneously present in all those 5 realms. So, but of course, our main realm is in this dunya, and our virtual or mental or alam al-khayal is which is alam al-malakut. We discussed those things in our past session. So we have been given a trust of nature, this consciousness, the gift of life, and we are responsible to complete and perfect our human nature. So this is one of the prayer we pray, which is the Ibn Arabi prayer. Allahumma asuluka billahute zillahute bitadbir. Zillahute bitadbir wa zidnasute bitaskhir. This prayer, Ibn Arabi taught us. We say that Lahut, which is our divine nature, O God, give us governing power to the divine nature, which is our Ruh, which is the Khalifatullah. And then Zinnasute bitaskhir, the one our human nature, which is not perfect, we'll find it out. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? I lost.
Yes, we hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. So so what happened was we have we are going to discuss this briefly. Um, so we have this part which is the human nature, which is subject to, of course, we are servitude. But when we have this servitude, we had our constraints and limitations. So that limited power we have, that is, we want subservient nature. That's what our prayer is. Allahumma inna asaluka ذي اللاهوت بالتدبير وذي الناسوس بالتسخير. So what is the traditional psychology we have reviewed in our last session? Attaining the balance within. Attaining the balance within. This is the central, this triangular circle. Around that there is an inner circle, there is an outer circle. So inner circle, we need to bring the balance. So attaining the balance within is available to all, no matter what the nurturing process has been. It is a question of hearing the call. So God has given that nature to all of us. Not everyone is hearing the call. Whoever hears the call and act on it, then of course we will have the perfection, and then we will have, we will have connection to Allah. Closer, the proximity will be increased. The call is when we become conscious of our place in the universe. As Ibn Arabi says, if you respond to the call and someone asks you, what validity is there in this path that you follow? So Ibn Arabi is telling, if someone asks you that, you ask them in turn, what is the proof of the sweetness of honey? They will have to concede that the proof of the sweetness of honey is only the tasting of it. So this clearly describes what a qalia or ilmun ladunni is. Something that can only be understood by direct experience. So Ibn Arabi's book, Divine Governance, which is called Tadbiratul Ilahiyya, which I shared PDF, that book has this particular quotation. So traditional psychology arises out of science of ethics, ilm al-akhlaq. There is a risala called Tahzib al-Akhlaq, also by Ibn Arabi. So this book we are going to read, it has a lot of quotations from various Sufis, but Ibn Arabi is one of them. So, but of ilm al-Akhlaq, the science of ethics, is a branch of practical philosophy, hikmat al-amali. Practical philosophy is concerned with our conscience and free will actions. So we will be using practical philosophy to apply the reason, conscience, and how to act using our free will. The Sufi enneagram will guide us. It's a symbolic manifestation of practical philosophy in its branch of the science of ethics, made manifest through spiritual hermeneutics. Ta'wil, Ta'wil al-ahadith. The way Moses have been given Ta'wil, this hermeneutics interpretation of various activities, how to understand inner and outer. So as you see, consciousness of self, and then through willpower and conscience. So in this, there is a three-part self. So one part is this willpower, which will have effect. With our willpower, we make effect. And then we will have a behavioral impact by using our conscience. And then, of course, we need the cognition. We need to use knowledge. And that's what we will be applying to achieve the balance. What is the process? Whereas the mystical dimension of Islam is most often described as a spiritual journey. So that is what we are going to read our first chapter, first two chapters, or part two, basically. So the moral dimension is described as a struggle or a spiritual warfare, the greater struggle, Jihad al-Akbar, the struggle within. The Sufis describe the greater struggle as a struggle between reason and passions, aql and the hawa. It's a struggle between reason and passions for the attention of the heart, the spiritual heart. Reason guides the spiritual heart towards consciousness. The passions, nafs al-ammara, the animal self, this nafs al-ammara, turn the heart away from consciousness by using willpower to serve the ego. The passions veil the conscience. We will go into it how passions veil conscience, how passions take us away, give the control to ego, and how our heart become black spotted. We will find out more about it as we go along. And we will know more about this three kind of energy system in our mental and physical, biological dimensions. And we have this nervous system, which has, of course, our brain and our aql component. We have heart, the animal soul, where all the movement, integrity of breath, sensation, this, this taqallub, the heart has a pump which moves fluid in the body, the blood and everything. And that also has anger and all those sort of things which come, the animal soul, which resides there. And also other part of the animal soul which resides in liver and the gut. That's the part is the natural source of power, which governs nutritive power of liver and also our reproductive organs, reproductive powers, give that reproductive powers to, for our saving the species and also saving the individual. And the other part is this one, which is in the brain, the animal component, which is the controlling brain and rational faculty. So as we mentioned, we have three-part work. One is the affect, another is behavior, another is the cognition. So the passions called nafs al-ammara are also known as the animal soul, the ego or self-idol within. Reason or cognition is called nafs al-lawwama or nafs al-natika. And the greater struggle is to overcome the ego, self-idol, false god or satanic force within us, the devil within. It is a difficult struggle, strengthening consciousness to control free will and one's consciousness to serve God instead of the ego. It is to die before we die. I'll come back to more into the pages we will be reading on chapter 2 on this. As Rumi says, when the blossom is shed, the fruit comes to a head. So to get the fruits, blossom has to be shedded. When the body is shattered, the spirit lifts up its head. This is in Masnavi, volume 1, this number The fruit is the reality of or meaning. The blossom is its form. Blossom is the good news. The fruit is the blessing given as a reward for it. Or again, as Rumi says, can bread give strength unless it be broken? So basically, these two self we have to manage them. But of course, if we give them any power, then of course we will not get those reward or fruits we have to shed. And the other three part explained, and we also discussed this in our past sessions. Um, our self has this spiritual biological, which preserve the eternal possibility of the self. And then the other part has the preserve the species, which is our reproductive power. And then we have preserved the individual, which is of course our own self-management, our own motivation, which happens. So cognition, affect, behavior, this ABC of this three-part us, and then intellect, the attraction to pleasure, quwwatul shahwaniya, which is our nafs al-ammara, which will allow us to enjoy the blessings Allah has given us. But if we attract too much pleasure, that's when imbalance happen. And another power we have been given is the avoidance of harm and pain. That's called quwwatul ghadabiyya, which help us to take action. So we can pull back. If we are doing too much pleasure, then of course the lust, greed, those sort of things will manifest in us. By pulling back, holding us, we can actually reduce those kind of negative trait. So liver is our source of this attraction to pleasure, our plant soul, our nabatiya, the nafs and nabatiya, and heart is our hayawaniya, animal soul, which has all the source of motivation, behavior. And then this unconscious part of us and the preconscious part of us. And then half animal soul, which is nafs al-ammara on this side. This is this part and this part. So we have three parts. This is the path of our balanced self. So this part is the cognition self. This part is our this heart psychological part, which manage our behavior. And here's the free will, self-esteem, which is part of temperance. That's part of affect. So in Quranic terminology, counseling to the positive part, amr bil maruf, we can do it through this part of our nafs. And this is the part, nahi anil munkar, we can stay away from negative trait by applying this part of ourself. So, but our judgment happens through this cognition part, which is our intellect. So that's the part again, wisdom, courage, temperance. These are the three-part tool we have to use to bring justice at the center. So Al-Ghazali interprets this verse, said the ones who believes are not but those who have believed in God and his messenger, they were not in doubt. So that is the part of wisdom. And they struggled with the wealth, their wealth, that is our temperance part, and themselves in the way of God. So that is the courage we have. They are the ones who are sincere. So if we can manage this three part well, we can bring justice. So that is the process we have to use, and this is the Ghazali explanation. And this all these slides are prepared by Lale Bokhtiar. I think you might have seen the video, so I've taken it from there. We are just revising. He says that through wisdom, we have to use the wisdom. That is one of the blessings. That is one of the grace. We will be increased. رب زدني علما وعلم عقلي بعلم لدني. So that is the part which gives us to live with oneself through reason, to live with creatures in patience, to live with God through need. So that is the wisdom. This is the principles we have to follow. And self-esteem, temperance, desire for others what one desires for oneself, avoid for others what one avoids for oneself. That is another principle. Then use the courage, trust in God, not to blame others for a defect that one knows comes from oneself. So basically in Quranic verse it says, Ma asabaka min hasanatin famin Allah, ma asabaka min sayyatin famin nafsik. If any good comes to you, that comes from God. And if bad comes from you, that's from yourself. That is the Quranic verse. So that is our guiding principle. And the justice, how we can bring it, strive constantly for the sake of others, not to see self as superior to others, to act justly without demanding justice for oneself. So that is these are the principles. Then the another process we'll follow in this enneagram principle is each one of the virtues may be explained as quantity and quality. So some virtues or vices are underdeveloped, then it will be minus. So as you see here, there are some number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 of them, but they have some different signs. Some of them have minus, some of them have plus, some of them has 0, and some of them has a star. The one at the center, it has a 3, 6, 9, they have the star. And the one outside the circle, they have a degree or 0, 3 to the power or 9 to the power 0. And as you see, when you have a underdeveloped or overdeveloped, underdeveloped will be denoted by minus, and overdeveloped will be denoted by plus. And then all these pathways we will know about it. It's the step to move from this to this to that. How we'll apply that, that will be our discussions. So there are many vices that can be listed in each category. The main ones are, so 9 we will be working, most of these 9 of them. 8 minus is ignorance. Too little reason or wisdom gives you ignorance. And we will do a lot of things because of ignorance. And we will show what symptom it surfaces to us in our behavior, and how we'll recognize that this disease is affecting us. We will know it as we go along. And then 9 to the power 0 or 9 degree is disbelief. As you see, that is at the top. So when we have a disbelief, no reason or no wisdom at all, that kind of situation, if we fall into that kind of situation, knowingly or unknowingly, disbelief is the one, kufr, veiling, is what happens to us. And then 1 plus is hypocrisy, too much reason, too much wisdom. That is this number 1. Number 1 is overdeveloped. If you have too much wisdom or overdeveloped, or if you think you know too much, then hypocrisy will come surface in us. And this one is the too little courage, 2 minus, that is the cowardice. So we will be lazy, we will have a lack of motivation when we fall into this kind of vices. And we have fear, no courage at all. So when we feel fearful, then will, of course, the fear of poverty, fear of, losing loved one, fear of, so it affect our heart. How it affect, if we realize that we have this fear of death, those sort of things influence our behavior. So that's when we need to treat our disease of the heart, undeveloped, um, this undeveloped part, undeveloped courage is cause this part, as you know, this circle is our outer self. And that is what visible to us and others. Other people see our behavior. At that time we are here. But when we take any action to remove any of these vices, we go towards the center. Towards the center. Main objective is to come here. The rashness, too much courage. That's when 4+ happens. So when we are here, the anger manifests to us because we have too much courage. That's when anger manifests to us. So when our heart is affected by that kind of vices, what is the action we have to take? And there is a 3-phase actions. We'll discuss those later. So there is a diet, medication, poison. These are the 3 types of action we have to take to remove anger. So if it is a diet, 1 step. If it is medication, 2 step. So you go here and go there. And then if it is poison, then you have to do reverse. So there is quite a few we will discuss about this. So there is envy and greed, too much self-esteem. So so that is how you manage negative traits of these 9 negative traits which we will be focusing on. And what is the process and where this 9 come from? That come from Quran. And that is the finding research done by Dr. Lale Bokhtiar. And here in Quran says, and certainly we have given Moses 9 signs. These are among 9 signs to Pharaoh and his folk. Truly, they had been a folk once who disobey. So these are all the negative traits, the 9 of them. And there had been 9 groups of persons in the city who made corruption in the earth and had not made things right. So again, 9 vices they're talking about. So that is 9 groups who committed deeds of depravity all over the land and would not reform. So they created the corruption. And as you know, God destroyed many qawms, many nations because of they are not willing to reform. That is main reason. Okay, and how we will read signs? We have to look outward and look inward. These are the 2 options. So the manifest zahir, you at that time body, from body onward you look at outward. So in your mind you look at, in your spirit you look at, in your dream you look at. So you have to use a spiritual science. But when you are looking inward, spirit is inside. When your body is shaking, when your heart is palpitating, when your fear is coming, and then you look inside, where it's coming, why it is coming. So God will show you signs upon the horizon and unforeseen inside, within the self. So when we look, the spiritual warrior attains moral balance or moral goodness. That is called muruwa. Another terminology is hilm. So how we do that? By learning to read the sign. And that's what our objective, to use this tool to read the sign. By observing nature that is completely submissive to God's will, and within the self, through rigorous self-examinations, muhasiba. So the goal is basically to become zero, a fair and just person. So we are now starting our book, which is part of today's lecture. So this is the first chapter in part 2, the goal. The chapter is goal. So I have a slide on it, but I just touching on it here. The goal is to become zero, which is the center, a fair and just person, because Allah says, be those who stand firmly in justice, replacing negative traits with positive traits. That is the goal. And another reason I just added this Quranic verse, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ, the people, the who unto those who give short measure, who give less weight. You know, you go to supermarket, they have all these packets marked up, 1 kilo, 1 kilo, 1 kilo. But if you check on them, you find that they have 5 gram, 10 gram less. If anyone is doing with you like that, he is cheating, he is helping, he is actually giving less weight. So if a person do that kind of thing, what happened? Their heart, kalla balrana ala kulubihim ma kanu yaksibun. Those people, their hearts will develop a stain of the ill. Stain of the ill. Stain of the ill, when that happened, black spot happened, or because of bad deed of every human being, that block the light of wisdom, light of guidance, light of all those things. As a result, they cannot actually do this struggle. So that's why we needed to watch out whether we are doing any of these kind of things where Quran has warned us. So now we are going to discuss these few terminology which I briefly mentioned in our previous session. I said I'll put it onto a slide. I just did here. These are the terminology, Arabic terminology. Main is, as you say, hilm, which is of course muruwa, which is I'm going to explain again. So hilm is the word religiously cultured monotheist, refers to anyone who has morally healed himself. If I am able to heal myself morally, then I achieve this capacity called hilm. Hilm also means discernment, insights, tabassara, tʿaqqala, basira. Basira is the insights. So if we are able to develop this quality, then we will have a insight. We can see not only our thoughts, we can even read other people's thoughts. We can see future. And we can have a self-control, we will be patient, we will be mild-mannered, we will have very sharp intellect. This is one of the words I wanted to highlight. The alama is a nipple for child. So in our case, our nafs is our child. But for a mother who offer the nipple to their baby to give the milk, so mother removes disquietude by offering milk to the child. When child cries, mother gives the nipple to the baby to make him quiet. But for us, the spiritual warrior, the mujahid, for us, how we give milk to our nafs. Milk, Prophet said, in alam barzakh, milk is knowledge. So if we give knowledge and wisdom to our nafs, which is disquiet, which is doing bad things, the way we can manage it to come to Hilm by offering halama. Halama is knowledge. If we offer knowledge to ourselves and pursue knowledge, then of course we can manage our nafs. That's what we said, governing power to the lahutiya self will increase governing power, and nasutiya self will be subservient. So that's why we needed to offer halama, halim or halem, hulub. Those words are related to dream. So if you are a dreamer, halem, ahlam is the to dream. And also another meaning is if you reach puberty, sexual maturity from childhood and adolescence to the adulthood, that's also called hulumun. And halim is the religiously cultured monotheist who attain muruwa. This is the first stage to go towards wilaya. So muruwa is the moral goodness. Those who are halim, they do not become perturbed with tribulation. Anger against disobedience does not disquiet him, her. So basically, if you are able to achieve the quality of becoming halim, you will not be angry when someone disobey you, when someone violated your expectation. You will not be angry, and no one can make you angry by doing touching your hot button, because you develop this quality of halim. So it's called mutamallak nafsahu, means self-collected. You can keep your compose, even if someone do bad thing in front of you, you will not lose your composure. Al-Halim is the divine name. That name will manifest in you when you become true Halim. And we have to, of course, and this is the divine name, we have to do wazifa for this name to manifest. And we will find out what particular vice we can remove by this naming, zikr, doing zikr of this name. We'll discuss that later. The another part I wanted to discuss was this fata, futua, fitra, sibga, hanif. This kind of word is used. So as you see there, fata, futua, fitra, sibga. Fata is the youth, young man, woman, represents often associated with bravery, generosity, and mentioned in the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was a young man, destroying the idol symbolizes the strength and moral integrity, destroying the false idol within. As you know, in the Quranic story, Prophet Abraham, when he was young, he went into his father's temple, or the temple which is there, I think the king's temple, where all these so many idols are there. He broke all of them and put the axe on the shoulder of the big. And then when someone asked, "Hey, Abraham, I saw you got in there. Who did this?" He said that ask this big guy. He's the one who, broken all the idol. So because he was brave enough, he know what to be done. And that is the bravery and generosity he showed. So that's why he is the symbol, futua. the chivalry, spiritual chivalry, the model, uswatun hasana. Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Ali, yes, so many of them. And they are all represents fatah. And futua is the to bring the quality of real fatah in our life, and the struggle itself is the spiritual chivalry. The Sufi terminology refers to the practice of selflessness, generosity, moral excellence. And fitra is what is built into us. To go back to that and bring it always, that is the fitratullah. So we have to work towards being fitratullah and sibgatullah. So in Quranic verse, which says, our life takes hue from Allah, and who could give a better hue to life than Allah? Man ahsana sibgatullah, man ahsanu sibgatullah, man ahsanu min Allah. Oh, okay. This verse, sibgatullah, wa man ahsana sibga min Allah. Nahanu lahu abidun. We but truly worship him. And this another word is Hanif, monotheist who follows the true religions, which means submission to God's will. If we can submit our will to God's will, that's we become Hanif. Inni wajjahtu wajhiya lillazi fatara as-samawati hanifan wa ma ana minal mushrikin. I mean, that's why we have been asked to read that before starting our salah, because we move our attention, body and mind, our heart, everything we actually mutawajjih. We send the direction towards Allah. When we can do that with proper submission to God's will, that's when we can become Hanif. And to do all those things is called muruwa, the pattern, moral goodness and integrity, and spiritual chivalry towards achieving the goal of wilaya. So when we are all working towards achieving the goal of wilaya, to become friendship with God, to proximity of Allah. Why we are seeking this youthfulness? Because Mazhar al-Azam, the eternal youthhood, will be our configuration when we transition to afterlife. When in our afterlife, according to Quran, every human will be eternal youth. There will be no aging there. And Ibn Arabi call it Mazhar al-Azam. So that's the reason we are pursuing futua in this life, so that we achieve it there as a part of our eternal youthhood. So now we are, of course, going to discuss briefly spiritual chivalry. It consists in the manifestation of the light of the original nature, fitratullah. It's gaining mastery over the negative effects within physical form. So the human being preserved in these affairs perseveres in these affairs until the force of animal self passions is broken. So strength and negative traits becomes the person's second temperance, and courage becomes firmly rooted in him. All the varieties of wisdom and justice become manifest or overcome nature in him in actuality. So this is what the goal, spiritual chivalry. The follower of spiritual is called spiritual warrior, fatah. And spiritual warrior to have morally healed by using self-help tool, enneagram, which we will be using, to have centered self in wisdom, in courage and temperance and justice. And then we will transfer the light of fitratullah from potentiality to actuality. to achieve grace and knowledge. So these are the one it will come, it will be bestowed upon us, the grace and knowledge. But for it we need a struggle. For it we need efforts and actions. That's why in the light of fitratullah, which is already built into us as a potentiality, it will be actualized. Then, of course, we have to work on the qalb, because qalb is the place where all the time change is happening, fluctuating, and that's the thing which will have this animal self which creates passions in us. And also, of course, qalb has another name, which is the spirit, reason. And of course, Ibn Arabi has given a definition, that which is delimited by fluctuations so that it never ceases undergoing transformation. So qalb has different names, but it is always making transformation. It is the point of union where the body and self unite. So our qalb is where our body, physical self, and the spiritual self unite. And I showed a diagram. I don't know whether you remember. It's in our slide. We call it Islamic psychology model. That is the Islamic psychology model of soul, and it is a two-part, the upper part and the lower part, and in between is the qalb. So qalb, aql, nafs, ruh. So nafs has four parts: nafs al-ammara, nafs al-mulhama, nafs al-lawwama, nafs al-mutmainna. So in all these four parts, we are going to discuss this soon. So here, God only desires their hearts from his servants, and their physical members will follow their hearts. While the actions of a human being's physical are under control of the heart in terms of directing them to the positive or the negative, the actions of the heart include the human being motivation for outward conduct. Motivation includes the process of thinking, feeling, and actions. This includes the use of positive and negative traits, the positive traits falling within the categories of wisdom and courage, temperance and justice, receptivity to positives, psychological states, and the attainment of spiritual states. The heart is compared to Kaaba, the earthly temple, making it the noblest house in the believer. It is said to be the throne of God in microcosm. This refers to sacred tradition. My earth and my heaven embrace me not, but the heart of my believing servant does embrace me. So that is the heart, which is the spiritual heart. The heart is said in a tradition to dwell between the two fingers of the All-Merciful. The hearts of all the children of Adam are like a single heart between two of the fingers of All-Merciful. He turns it wherever he desires. So our will, God's will, joins when we desire good things, good thing happens. The All-Merciful, according to the Quran, upon the throne, and God's mercy embraces all things. The only other quality which embraces all things is the knowledge. You embrace all things in mercy and knowledge. So the heart, then, as the throne of God, is the place of knowledge of the reality. So, in regard to spiritual aspect of the heart, when a person makes his inward self sound, God will make his outward conduct sound. When the secret life has been purified, God will purify the outward manifestation thereof. It is through the heart that one gains access to knowledge of this world and the next. Al-Hujuri says, when a person feels desire and passion, he turns to the heart in order that it may guide him to lower soul. which is seat of falsehood. As you see here, if person feel desire and passion, he turns the heart in order that it may guide him to lower soul, which is the seat of falsehood. When he finds the evidence of gnosis, he also turns to the heart in order that it may guide him to the spirit, which is the source of truth and reality. So basically, which way you are turning your attention, giving your focus, um, that's what make you. So if you are wanting to falsehood, you will be asking for more patience, listening to your desire. But if you are listening to heart, towards the spirit, positive traits, then of course you will find the truth and reality. So our main struggle is within the passions, our animal self known as the passions, nafs al-ammara, and our ability to reason. So these are the two things, reason and patience. When a call from patience comes, you have to reason it, and then you decide which way you want to move. The winner in the struggle controls the heart. If the reason wins the struggle, the self becomes morally healed by gaining the ability to direct the heart towards the Lord because of the presence of light that is now illuminated. If the passions win, that means reason lost, or reason and patience gone that direction, the aspiring spiritual warrior has lost both this world and the next. The reason as an aspect of spirit within needs to be developed at three levels. The reason, animal and spiritual self within, which is called psychoethics, between the self and others, which is called socioethics, and between the self and God, which is called theoethics. So if your reason has these three levels, of course you have to bring justice in all levels. At the level of psychoethics, it means to be centered, balanced in reason, reason ruling over the passions. At the level of socioethics, it means to deal with others in a fair and just manner, putting others and their needs before self. In order to spiritual warrior relationship with God, theoethics, it means to put things in their proper place, to accept reality as trust giver and self as trustee. When the spiritual warrior operates in these three levels in the manner described, the person is morally healed. So if we can maintain that all the time, then of course we can become Halim, morally healed, Murua. The great struggle takes place in the heart as it fluctuates this way or that way. It is the spirit or reason understood as Ibn Arabi defines it that turns the heart towards the spiritual. The idol within follows the passions, the animal aspect consisting of an overuse or misuse of feelings to preserve the species, the actions to preserve the individual. So these two kuwa we have to use them. While these two functions are a necessary part of the life of the human species, their overuse or misuse result in the animal aspect of ruling the self. It is then they are referred to as the passions. Shorworthy explains it, the animal self makes the same demands of obedience and admiration the human being does God. It is delicate matter lodged within this mold of the body. The animal self is this substratum of negative qualities. The spirit is the mind of positive, and the animal self is the mind of the negative. The intellect is the army of the spirit, and success, which is granted by Allah, is its reinforcement. Capricious desire is the army of the animal self. Failure is its reinforcement. So we have to control, we have to destroy the idol within. We have to lower the capacity, the, zid nasut bil taskhir. We have to make our lower self subservient. The heart symbolizes the human reality. When it turns towards and fluctuates towards desires or idol ego, it is called the passions, nafs al-ammara. When it turns towards the moral healing, it is called the spirit of reason, nafs al-mutma'in and nafs al-lawama. It is in this capacity that the place for knowledge of reality. It is then quality of knowing God, witnessing beauty of His presence happens. So yeah, we'll be almost finished. Um, so basically, the light guide as guidance through the revelation describes becomes veiled by the animal self and be unveiled if the spirit within is victorious in the greater struggle. The human being has to make the choice, has to commit self and accept the responsibility of this choice to attain the moral reasonableness, religiously cultured monotheist. So, with that note, we conclude my part. Just 1 hour we have discussed. As I mentioned, Allah said, if we do bad things, our heart develops a stain of ill. The black spot make the whole mirror of the heart blackened. As a result, no reflection happens, no light of guidance, no knowledge comes. Then we become toga. فَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى وَأَثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. So that become our goal. So Jahannam become our goal when dunya and transgression affect us more and we fail to manage our hawa. You know, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. Whoever has this fear to meet Allah, the presence of Allah on the day of judgment, and even now, and nahayan nafsin anil hawa, passions has been controlled, refrain his soul from passions, paradise is his abode leading to happiness. Final jannata hiyal bawa. So that is what our objective. So with that note, I just conclude my part and let's have a Q&A. No one is interested or do everyone got sleep? Rad, are you guys are there or not?
We are here.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for
I don't
the
see
detailed review.
Yeah, it is a bit descriptive, but of course, I thought I had to present something. Otherwise, we are all reading the book and at least I have to reiterate it to, yeah, to warm up, basically, to discuss. So now, what is the take and what are the questions and what do you think of this particular 2 chapters we just discussed?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so much interesting and enriching listening to your presentation. This is my first time to attend the session, so I'm a little bit lost. Excuse me. So you referred that you were reading chapters of a book. Could you just let me know what is the book and what chapters I should refer to? And I'll share further questions next session or in writing to you if you don't mind.
Yes, yes, sure. The book we are reading is called Moral Healer's Handbook. The book which we shared in our group. And I can show the cover of the book. The book is basically,
Yes, please.
and that book we said we will be reading it. So let me show you the screen of the book or the cover of the book. As you see here, this is the book. Moral Healer's Handbook, and this book is actually a PDF has been shared. The Psychology of the Spiritual Chivalry. So we have been discussing about the spiritual chivalry. So as I mentioned, there is a book also written by The Way of Sufi Chivalry by Ibn al-Husayn al-Sulami. That book is one of the earliest book in the Sufi history. I don't know if you're familiar with Sulami. He is one of the pioneer, Ibn al-Husayn al-Sulami. I think he is 200 years before Ibn Arabi. So even Sulami was a student of Al-Qushairi actually. So he wrote a book, and if you read that book, there are beautiful stories in the foreword written by Tosun Bayrak Al-Jirahi, and also another foreword was written by Michel Chotkwich. There are some beautiful stories about Futuwa. So I suggest you read those Futuwa stories if you are not yet convinced how spiritual chivalry will benefit you. So that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm a native Arabic speaker, but I cannot really get a kind of a meaning of chivalry, or what does it mean in Arabic?
It's Futuwa.
Futuwa. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, I
It's being
explained that
young.
Arabic word, Futuwa, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Thank you.
Fatah, Fitian, you know, the 7 sleepers, all young,
Yeah.
7 people,
We,
Ashabul Kahf,
yeah,
that they are
yeah,
addressed as a Fitian.
yeah. Young people.
Yes, the people who found Allah at their young age.
Ah, yeah, I got it. Got it.
Yes,
Like
and
Ali ibn
also
Abi
who
Talib.
are brave, Hazrat Ali.
Yes. Imam Ali. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
Hmm. Any other question? What happened to Rad?
Salam alaikum, Sidi Noor.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
I'm good. I don't have a question, but just wanted to share that this is my first time I'm attending this lecture live. Otherwise, it was happening very late at night, so I was always watching the recordings, and it's so good to be here, seeing you live and hearing you live. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's been
no,
really great
alhamdulillah.
to come back to these
Alhamdulillah.
lectures. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. No, that's very good. Good that you are here in person, and I'm delighted that we are in a journey together, and we will find out how we'll work on various vices we mentioned, and we will show, I think the book I just shared, at the end of the chapter, there is a dictionary. It has a list of positive and negative vices and how they affect us. And also, it has some treatment as well. So when you actually work on yourself, of course, the way we are doing is we are self-help. We are doing it ourselves. We may not have a sheikh, or we may have a sheikh. But in the olden days, people, murids, they used to rely on the sheikh to guide them. So nowadays, all the sheikhs, they have written us enough tools and books and methodologies, so we can do it ourselves. So that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to do it ourselves. And I was looking for co-travelers, companions. So that's how this group came about. And I am sorry that Rad had to go, but Rad was one of the person who wanted to be in it, and of course Aisha joined us. So two of us are regulars and committed to this group. Three of us actually. So of course, if you stay also committed, and we will be grateful to you. So another
Inshallah.
book, yeah, another book I shared again within the group. There is a 4 lecture by Hamza Yusuf on this book called Purification of the Heart. It is based on a book called Matharatil Qulub, and that book was written by an African Mauritanian sheikh. Well, no, sorry, Taharat al Qulub. So purification of heart. So in that book, he translated in English. It was a poetry book, but Sheikh Hamza he did translated it, and this last 6 pages, it has a discussion, comprehensive treatment for heart, and it's a very good book to read on the side because it talks miserliness, wantonness, hatred, iniquity, love of the world, envy, blameworthy modesty, fantasizing, fear of poverty, ostentation, seeking reputation, negative thoughts, vanity, fraud, anger, heedlessness, rancor, boasting and arrogance. All those things he discussed first, and then how you get rid of them in the last only 10 pages. So we will be applying the similar technique, how to do fasting, how to do zikr, how to do, and which one has what sort of treatment mechanism. They didn't go through in details, but we are going in details of those mechanisms. So if you needed that, if you go to our group, you know, the Mashraba community group, and in there you see study group Quran, and there is a section called files. I don't know, let me share my screen. In that way you can see what I mean. So if we go to, okay, let me share my screen and you can see that. If you go to the file section, that book is there. So this is our group, right? And then if you go here, and then if you see the file section, all these files are there. Do you see that? Moral Healers Handbook is there. Disease Cure Imam. So this is the book we are talking about. So in the last 10 pages, you will find that. And then here all other books there. As you see, some books have been given multiple times. So that's what I suggest you to check and get all the books. And also if you wanted to see some of the lectures, say here, this past lecture slide packs, I put only few, but if you go there, shared doc, Google Doc directory, all other files are there. And the book lists are here. As you see, all the book list we will be studying or referring to. And these are the 4 videos we all watched. And there is a warfare part 1 and part 2. This is one I was referring to. Part 2 we didn't see together, but part 1 we did see together. So I suggest you guys explore this, and in 2 weeks we'll be meeting, but our focus will be on that book I just showed you, this first book, Moral Healers Handbook, this book. Okay. Yeah? Any more questions? Was it helpful to go into that files directory?
Yeah, very much, basically. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because not many people knew about this file section there, because it's stored through the through this WhatsApp server. So one way, I'll do a bit of cleanup there, because same file is multiple time posted there. So, okay, any other questions? One of the thing I wanted to mention was, if you haven't seen this diagram from our lecture, which we gave in, I think, the session 1 or session 2. If you haven't seen that, I suggest you watch that one, especially that sessions, this particular diagram, which is very helpful to understand this. So let me share my screen again. We still have another 10-15 minutes, because I don't see many questions coming from you guys. So that's why I am showing this. As you see here, this diagram, I suggest you review this diagram. This is the structure of the soul. As you see there, these are the two-part self. Ilmun, nafs, two-part. Because as you see, this is Ibn Arabi quotation. It says that a human being is a two-sided mirror. On one side, the properties of lordship, so this part. On the other side, this part are the reflected servanthood, defects of servanthood reflect. When you look at the properties of lordship, he is greater than all beings. And when you count the defects of servanthood, he is lower and more insignificant than all creatures. So you can come into lowest of the low, which is shaitan. That is in us. We all have that part, because we have angelic part, we have gene part, and also we have human part. Human part is our blood and flesh and bones and everything. The nabatiya, this the plant soul we are. So that part draws us towards the ghafla. Ghafla is the heedlessness. But that actually, when we fall into ghafla, all these negative traits, muhlikat, that destroy us. Halak, muhlikat, yeah. So that destroy us and make the friend of shaitan. And we are fall into the trap of dunya, because you know that verse which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, alamu annama al-hayat ad-dunya laibun wa lahavun wa zinatun tafakhurun bainakum wa takathurun fil amwal wal awlad. That alamu, know that annama al-hayat ad-dunya, life in this world, is laibun, it's a play, it's a drama. Laibun, it's a game. Laibun wa lahavun. Lahavun is a passing delight, temporary, transitory, pleasurous place. Laibun wa lahavun wa zinatun. Zina means zayyana, which is basically decoration. Is a Christmas tree, you have all sorts of lighting. Those things happen occasionally, right? So this is an occasional period. God has zayyana this dunya. So this is where we are in. And zinatun, And then he said, tafakhurun bainakum. What do? We say, hey, I have a Mercedes. Hey, I have a 6-story house. Hey, I have this big garden. Say, all this tafakhur, boasting of, hey, I have this many gold. I have this many latest car. Oh, I have now iPhone number this. And all this tafakhurun bainakum. And then takasurun fi amwal wa awlad. So competition, takasur, we are greed bound towards wealth. Yeah, the mal and the children say, hey, my daughter now goes to this school and my son goes to this job and this big post he is, all these sort of things. So what Allah is saying, those things are like kamathal gaisin, like a rainfall, which of course give a very beautiful field of corns and harvest. So kamasal gaisin ajabal kuffare nabatu. He sees his garden, he is impressed. Ajab kuffar nabatuhu summa yuhiju, when fatarahu musfarran, when it becomes safir, it becomes yellowish, it becomes of course when his harvest become summat yakunu khotaman, it become a wasteland, and then of course it's very temporary. And then Allah is saying, wa fil akhirati azabun shadidun wa maghfiratun min Allah wa ridwan. All those things are there in akhirah. Ajabun shadidun, maghfiratun min Allah wa ridwan. So we will get them if we can manage ourselves from this muhlikat. So, and then he's saying that wamal hayat dunya illa mataul gurur. So this dunya is nothing but a enjoyment of delusion. So that's what is pulling us, and that is all nafs al-ammara. Nafs al-ammara is our ego self. That is our false self. That is the one, of course, gives us inspiration to do things. If you don't have motivation, if you don't have a little bit of attraction towards doing your job, earning money, going to your work, if you don't have little bit of those, you will not do and plant the seed in the field, then you will be more lazy. You will be that cowardice, right? So you need little bit of those, but if you have too much of it, then you will be pulled, you'll be heavy. So, but this nafs and qalb, aql and ruh, these are, I was saying that our ruh lives in the alam al-amr, alam al-malakut, alam al-mastur, which is covered, that alam, the alam where we go in our sleep time. But this is where alam al-khalq is. Alam al-khalq, alam al-dunya, alam al-manzur, the visible world. So that's where we are. But in the middle, when we go to sleep, we go to alam al-barzakh. When we die, we go to alam al-barzakh. And that's where our alam al-khayal is. That's where our other self, this self, our nafs, that's where the nafs al-mutmainna, our consciousness is there, the qalb. The qalb has two parts. One is fuad, which is conscience, our discerning power. And the other part is the heart and mind. That mind is the one which is, of course, sadr, which is where whispering happens from the shaitan. And that is the part we needed to be watching. So we need to use aql, We need to use qalb is our main and nafs al-mulhama. This is our nafs al-mulhama, and that is the one give us consciousness. So I wanted you to think about this diagram, and also another diagram I wanted you to look at is this diagram. Basically, spheres within spheres. The outer spheres, as you see, the outer sphere is an alama misal, but the lower spheres, this earth, water, air, all this, moon sphere, Mercury, all this Saturn, all these are visible world. But this dark part, that part is where Arsh, Allah's Arsh is. So Arsh is also a part of Allah's Sifat. So that's where, that is where, we are within this sphere, within this sphere. So we are here, but Arsh is the outer sphere. So that's what I wanted you to understand how our positioning is. So I want you to go through this slide and see some of these documents which we have discussed in the past, because those are will help you to understand all these things we have discussed. Anyway, I think, yeah, we are
Are you
done.
going to share these? Are you going to share these slides in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, it's already shared.
It's already there.
Yeah, it's already there.
Okay,
If you go to file, you'll find it. And also, I recently shared it. So let me show you WhatsApp group again. In that way, you can see where it is. Because this one I just shared a few days ago. Let me show the screen share again. So if you look at the WhatsApp, yeah, this is our group, right? So this is the Zoom I just gave, and these are the link I shared. Yeah, this link.
Yes.
Session 1 slide, session 2 slides, session 3 slides, session 4 slides. Do you see that?
Yes.
But because here we have a limit of 2,000 character, so I couldn't put all of them, but I put 2 of them. If you look at here, past lecture slide packs.
Yeah.
If you go here, you will see, say I clicked on it, and you go to doc, Google's, and you can see them there. See there? And
Yes.
if you come to here, where here? No, here. You can see the main directory. So so then you can see all the slide.
Okay.
So let me go to where is that the main slide? Because this is showing only one slide, one pack, but if you go to this directory, then you can see all the slide. Where are they? Yeah, here, folder. So in the folder, you can see all the slide. This is going to Google Drive, but if you needed go to Google Docs,
Yeah.
then you can, have you gone into Google Doc?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so if you go there, you can see them.
Okay.
So for example, if you say open, and then you can see all of this. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them I have put in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you need just one link to come here, and then if you say file, open, then it will show you all others.
All of them. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much.
And also if you look at this, this is the one which is cut and paste of all Sufi Enneagram Lale Bakhtiar's lecture. I just cut and paste from her video, compiled all the slide there. So it is a 52 meg. And this is the Lale Boktia slide pack. From where I shared you some of it today. You know, I was reviewing some of the past sessions. These are the slide I was showing from. You see there?
Yeah.
These are all the slide. If you do not want to watch, you like reading, just watch of them, because there is, I think, 150 of the slides there. I was showing you from here few of them. Do you see that?
Yep.
These are all the slides. These are the things we will be covering in our next, I think next few lectures, and then we will start with the case study. We'll start case study.
Okay.
And then we will do our own. If anyone want to share, I will share what I am going through and how I am tackling them. But of course, because the advice is not to say too much about your own thing, what you're doing, but for the good motivation, you can show it. So as you see here, I am still 80 slide numbers, and then 85, 86, 89. So it has all of these slides she has gone through. It's I think 5-day workshop she did with the Egypt people from all over the world.
Oh, wow.
So you haven't seen this?
I have. Yeah, most of them I have. And she
Okay.
shares it in her presentations too, right?
Yes,
She
yes,
goes
in
over
her
them.
video, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you can actually browse them and refresh your mind, because these
Yeah,
are the
I'll do
gist of
that
all the
before
books we
the
have.
yeah, I'll do that before the next class.
Yeah, so that's what I suggest, because I put it there for everyone to have a look, because we needed to digest this to make this work, just like the one I was explaining how to heal, how we feel. And when you are especially caught up in this particular segment, so and that segment, she talks about how to fix the problem of especially is saying that undeveloped temperance, lack of self-esteem. How do you fix that? And she's showing how do you do this.
Mm.
So he's saying that you needed to, because you have a this lack of self-esteem, and she said it's only one move from this 5 minus. You have to go to this one move, which is 6-0. So now you have a dictionary. What is that 6-0 means, and what is the action? And she has a chart about it. So so she will explain how those things are, how medication is applied, and how what is this other part, how diet is applied. So though he is calling all those things diet, but it's actually not, you are not food, it's spiritual food used in the early stage of the development of a negative trait. One is recognize the harm, gain cognitive consciousness, have to have no doubt, number 2, number 3, and then what is the action. So these are the things we needed to discuss, and we'll tell you what to do. And then if any of you have that trait, you can tell me whether you're getting any results, because I have tried some of it and it worked, and some of them is still working on it. So, but of course I'm not an expert yet. Hopefully Allah will guide us, because Allah says Allazina jahadu fi subulana lanahdiyannahum. If you the people who do mujahada, if you are striving hard, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ. I will guide them. So, and here in this book he's saying it, and in Quran in many places he's saying it. So he promised. Allah promised it to us. So as a result, it will come to us, and it will.
Inshallah.
Yeah. All the best. I think I have spoken more than I needed to. Thanks.
Thank you so much for this session, for the discussion, and sharing all the information, refreshing the mind. And I'm looking forward to the future sessions. And I'll follow up with all the slides that you shared, so we have it reviewed before we come to the next session.
Thank you. Thank you. All the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All the best.
All the best. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much.
مع السلامة.